I mean, honestly, man, this world right now, the way it is and the way that they're treating police officers, I was so sick of hearing the media talk bad about these people who are under stress all the time, under situations where people were attacking them, and the media just downplays the importance of law enforcement. They almost make the suspects like the important people, and and I thought, man, I want to create a culture. I wanted to make a place where they felt welcome. And when I saw what he could do, and I saw how people could be from the couch, 50-year-old, or maybe somebody who's a police officer who is completely out of shape, which I see all the time in the martial arts arena, and I thought, man, I want to change people's lives. And I was getting out of corporate America, and I was looking to become an entrepreneur, and I was like, man, let's do something really big. So when I deal with the law enforcement guys on the mats, I want to set them up for success, but at the same time, I want to make them understand that, a regular person on the street, they're going to be able to beat. Two of our law enforcement guys yesterday with Master Machado and our first blue belts in the gym. This just shows you how much law enforcement and the first responders are important to our gym. They got their blue belts under Master Machado yesterday, and it's the first ones ever in my academy.
You're listening to the ATO Bridging the Divide podcast, brought to you by the Assist the Officer Foundation.
Since 1999, the ATO has given assistance to the first responder community, and now we want to give them a platform to hear their incredible stories.
We also want to hear the stories of the many people that support us.
Our community is small, but it is strong.
We have differences. We don't always agree, and we all make mistakes.
But together we can grow, we can heal.
And we can learn from those mistakes.
And together we can bridge the divide.
Welcome back, ATL listeners. I'm Joe King. I'm with the amazing Misty Van Kuren and the very beautiful Kristen Green. Today, the Assist the Officer Foundation sits down with one of the co-owners of a gym that truly supports our first responders and military. This gym opened on March 12, 2020, the same day the NBA and NHL suspended their seasons. 9 days later, the governor locked down the state of Texas for COVID. 7 weeks later, reeling like most other businesses, they reopened their doors. They signed over 40 people that first day. They survived the lockdown. When a lot of businesses and gyms had to fold, they persisted. They wanted it to be unique. They wanted it to be family. They want to welcome those who protect others. Walking into this gym, you immediately see the many flags hanging that show support. You see members wearing workout shirts from DPD SWAT, Salina PD, Grand Prairie Fire Department, Fate PD, Rockwall PD. The list of people representing goes on and on. This is the story of this gym's origins, its mission, and its future of fitness. This is Legends Fit. And here to tell this story is one of the co-owners, Aaron Connor, a second-degree brown belt of Brazilian Jiujitsu under Master Carlos Machado. He spent 22 years at L3 Communications. He was the VP, Chief Information Officer, and Corporate Senior Director from 1997 to 2019. He's also a United States Air Force vet from 90 to 94. It is my great honor to welcome on Aaron Connor. Aaron, welcome.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Before we dive into this, I want to give some quick facts about Legends Fit. The gym is located on I-30, just east of John King, on the southbound service road in Rockwall. The other owners are Chip Kelley, son of Air Force vet, and T.J. is also a Navy vet. Legends Fit has over 1,700 active members, with over 400 first responders and active military. This gym gives deep discounts to active first responders and military. This is a welcoming haven for all people, big, small, extremely fit, bodybuilders, works in progress, cops, firemen, and all branches of military. When you walk into the door, you immediately feel it's a serious gym and caters to those who are just starting their fitness journey, and also women and men prepping for a show. Aaron, thank you. Thank you for all your support you give us.
You're very welcome. We're glad to have you guys.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and dive into this. You're in the Air Force, right? How long did you serve?
I was in for 4 years, 1990 to 94, so the first Gulf War. I worked on F-15s, C/D models. I was an electrical environmental system specialist, and I also was in Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I worked on the F-4G Wild Weasel that were still flying sorties over in Iraq, and basically saw them retire, and I left and went into defense contractor. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Your MMA background, I want to get into that. When did you start that?
Well, I mean, I actually started back before the UFC and everything. I started doing like karate and taekwondo and Seidokan in the military. My first real thing was under Fusei Kisei, which is a Okinawan master red belt in Okinawa. While I was stationed there at Kadena, I was there 2 years training with him. So that was sort of my first real introduction. But I actually went under Carlos Machado in the late 90s, and it was right after the UFC started booming and Royce Gracie made his debut in the UFC. Carlos Machado is the nephew of Carlos Gracie Jr., and so the lineage that I'm under is, just basically Helio Gracie, Carlos Gracie, and then Carlos Machado, all the cousins all trained together in Brazil when Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was being founded.
Basically, either the founder, the forefathers of
that's right.
Yeah, that's impressive. And tell the listener who was just here yesterday.
Yeah, so it's such a great, probably a dream come true for me, having Master Machado, Carlos Machado, come to our gym and actually do a seminar here at Legends Fit. And we're a small school, but it was so amazing to have him here. It was a dream come true for me.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures. It's him. You showed me a incredible picture with him schooling a young girl and her sitting there Indian style, just riveted what he was telling her.
Watching him with the kids and like watching this little girl, I was telling Misty about this earlier, like watching her attention to detail and her intensity and just desire to be good at jiu-jitsu, but to watch Carlos care so much for her and her jiu-jitsu journey, it was really inspiring to me. I saw that picture and I was like, man, if I had to explain who Master Machado was, he's the most humble. In fact, his logo is "Stay Humble." So that was pretty amazing yesterday.
Stay humble.
Yeah.
When I've been trying to get you on for quite a while since we started this, Misty and we've wanted to get a true first responder gym owner on, and this is the perfect setting, and this gym was the perfect gym to represent what we're looking for.
Yeah, walking in here, it feels like a station gym or a firehouse gym. It feels cozy and you're inspired, and like you instantly want to work out. And so that has that great feel you've established. It's obvious. I mean, this is the first time I walked in here, and I was like, oh, this is a great feel.
We wanted to make it unique compared to, like if you look around all the box gyms, you got these corporate America who's really trying to make big money off people, or they don't care whether people come to the gym or not. You got Planet Fitness or whatever, like $10 a month. They don't care. They want to just get your money and collect it every month. We actually want our members to come in here and transform.
When you got with TJ and Chip, what was your original vision for this gym when you started it up?
So TJ had originally started what was called Legends Gym in Rockwall. And it was a little bitty hardcore gym off of Yellow Jacket near the courthouse. And I saw just his passion for and what he could do as far as transforming people and even myself. And I went from like a dad bod to I did my first, I did have my first bodybuilding show, and honestly, I did it because I was like, who are some of the best in the world shape people, bodybuilders. So I went in there and I always like to go with the best, like Carlos.
Right.
And TJ is one of the best trainers out there. And when I saw what he could do, and I saw how people could be from the couch, 50-year-old, or maybe somebody who's a police officer who are completely out of shape, which I see all the time in the martial arts arena, and I thought, man, I want to change people's lives. I want to, and so I I was getting out of corporate America and I was looking to become an entrepreneur, and I was like, man, let's do something really big.
All of y'all have somebody that's related to them or have been in active military, or that somebody that's a first responder. Why was it so important to have that feel and welcome in first responders and military?
I mean, honestly, man, this world right now, the way it is and the way that they're treating police officers on the street, I was so sick of hearing the media talk bad about these people who are under stress all the time, like under situations where people were attacking them, or and the media just downplays the importance of law enforcement. They almost make the suspects like the important people, and and I thought, man, I want to create a culture, and especially in Rockwall, we're a great county to be able to do this, but I wanted to make a place where they felt welcome, that they could come in. We even made it a 24-hour gym so the first responders could come in the middle of the night and work out. Like, we wanted a place where they felt at home, and then they could, and they have serious jobs. So not only do we provide martial arts for them, but we also provide a pretty cool workout facility for them to come lift as well.
Yeah, there's community here, and part of first responders, that's part of their healing process. A lot of them is their workouts. And I think it combines the community. So tell our listeners what's different about your gym, because it's hard to explain, but the different rooms and the feels and the different pieces of equipment.
Okay, yeah. So I'm pretty excited about this, because when we came here, this place was a warehouse and it was a soap factory, and it it literally had soap caked on the floor. That we had to get. It was crazy, but we had this vision, and I had gone to a couple of pretty cool gyms in like Florida and Arizona, and I had this vision of where you walk into the different rooms and it's kind of like an experience. And so when we developed this, we came up with the idea of so the front room, we call it business, and in the back room we call it the party. So it's business in the front and party in the back.
It's like the mullet of the gym.
That's it. So
it really is too.
Yeah. So we literally put we painted the front room blue, like a blue theme, and then the back room was red, which goes with our colors. Mm-hmm. But the back room we called the jungle, and that's where all the hardcore stuff happens. And I was telling you guys this earlier, we put windows in between so that the people in the front in the business area could look in and watch the animals in the jungle working out.
Once you graduate to this room, then you can get over here and join us.
Yeah. For example, we go up to about 75-pound dumbbells in the front room.
Yeah.
But you go into the back room, we go up to 150-pound dumbbells.
Yeah. Is that your warm up?
Yeah. But the cool thing is we have equipment like the Arsenal equipment that is really unique. You can't find at a box gym. Most of the box gyms, they just throw in the basic stuff. This we have like a vertical leg press where you're laying flat on your back.
I've never seen that machine in my life. That's an incredible machine.
And so if you can't, you can really kill yourself on a leg day here.
Yeah.
Like the hack squat machine, if you look at it, it's an Arsenal machine. It's reverse hacks, and you can put some serious amount of weight on those. Even the stuff for the women, we have a lot of different glute machines, hip thrust machines, pressing back with the legs, even a reverse hyper, which for all of us as we're getting older, the reverse hyper for the lower back and hamstrings, it's a really cool little piece of equipment.
And you guys are always getting new equipment in here, so you don't just kind of have equipment that you keep and it kind of gets old, you guys maintain it pretty well, and then you're always getting new equipment in here.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest part of running a gym is like trying to keep the equipment up and nice. But at the same time, we do these everybody has these fees for gyms where it's supposed to be upgrading equipment. Well, we take that very serious. And so like recently we got 4 or 5 new pieces of cardio equipment. But yeah, we all vote, or we ask the members like, hey, what equipment would you like to see in the gym? So like the reverse hyper, the power lifters in the gym all wanted that reverse hyper because it makes their deadlifts get stronger. So, we kind of take the influence of the members to go out and find out what's our next piece of equipment.
I've had to look up how to use some of this equipment, though.
Yeah.
We're like, we'll look at some of it. We're like, I don't understand what this is. So
yeah,
it's neat, though.
We're putting some videos out. We try to do individual pieces of equipment to kind of show how it works. But we have some good trainers in here.
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to Cody and
Emily.
Emily is in here. T.J, of course, and Chip trains some folks.
Brandy, James.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ashley
Jones.
Yeah. You have some beasts in here training some folks. I mean, there's some jacked women and men that are.
Do you know what the coolest thing? And we were talking about wrestlers earlier, not to anybody, but we hired 3 different wrestlers from the Rockwall area, and they run our front desk. Like some of the young guys, they're the best people in the world. Like we found that getting people who were actually into fitness and wrestling or whatever, like they help run our gym too. Solely and Ben and some of those guys.
Well, you can tell they know what the hell they're talking about. I mean, there's another gym in the area. I'm not going to mention the name, but I used to work out over there, and I know that most of the members from there are here now. Yeah. I see. I mean, they
you see the same people.
Yeah, there was an exodus clearly, and then they all came over here, especially the serious lifters.
The pandemic was kind of it hurt us and it helped us all at the exact same time because we were, we opened up and so people started flooding over here just to support like America in a way.
Right.
Well,
you were mentioning deadlifts earlier. How many platforms do you have out there for deadlifting?
When we made these homemade too, so yeah, there's I think there's four platforms, one bigger one for like Olympic lifting and things like that. But
another thing I like what you do here, and it's really cool. I mean, I'm too old and beat up to try this shit, but you have a board up that has records, right? And you have competitions that go on here every so often, and that's really cool because people flock in here, some just insanely strong people, and they compete in their,
There's nothing like the record board.
Yeah, did you see it over there?
I didn't see it.
Well, we leave, walk out. I want to show it to you.
I love record boards.
Yeah, and people get really into it.
Yeah.
Motivates.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll even do like something simple like pushing the sled.
Yeah,
and we've had competition on how much weight can you put on the sled, or how fat who's the fastest sled pusher for 5 rounds. Like, people get into it.
The grip competition.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty crazy how competitive people, especially in our gym.
Yeah. Oh God. And another thing I like that you do is we go back to community. You really just promote family and community here. Hell, you even have a Santa Claus that comes here and takes pictures with the kids around Christmas. They have an all Jack Santa sitting out there in a suit. He's just all sleeveless and ripped. I'm joking about sleeveless, but and then you have all these other first responder events. I mean, I remember you had a firefighter event last year, I believe, and you have other ones that are planned. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, so it's one of our things that we find important is to actually build community. So you've got the fire versus police, we do that every year. So we did a paintball. And it's fire versus police versus legends. We always get whooped, but we did the paintball. We're fighting each other, or we came in and did, and I did this. You're how many reps can you do with 185 on bench within 3 minutes, and everybody really gets into that. Oh, and we ate donuts in between, which
superset donuts.
Yeah, superset. You'd have to do the bench and eat a donut, and then do the bench again. It's pretty funny.
Put the donut on the end of the bar.
Yeah. And you would think eating a little sugary donut is no big deal, but when you're in the middle of doing we would do squats and then go eat a donut. Yeah.
Have a mouthful of donut while you're benching. Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, we like doing the events, and if we can get people to come, everybody's so busy in this gym.
Yeah.
That's why it's 24/7. So,
But you have a good turnout though. I've been up here and I've been to the firefighter event. There was quite a few folks. It was all day long, and you had all these tables set up selling supplements, and it was really successful.
Yeah, we've been fortunate, especially with everything going on in the world, getting people to actually come into the gym. And I heard people talking about like they felt free and at home, like they got to come in and actually have community for once, where everybody was been locked in their houses forever.
Yeah. Speaking of the lockdown, whenever y'all just got this place set up and then had to immediately shut the doors, what were y'all thinking? Were you, oh shit, how are we going to survive?
We were kind of like everybody. We really couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. And, so it was unknown to us in the very beginning. We sort of half shut down in the very beginning. And then, at some point they told us, okay, you have to completely shut down. Yeah. But yeah, I honestly, I was only open a week. And so everything to keep the gym running, we kept paying salaries, and we stopped collecting membership fees, which is unlike most of the gyms around. They kept charging people monthly, but we stopped that. So, man, the fact that we survived that pandemic, it took every lick of money that I had in my bank account to try to it was crazy.
Especially just starting up. In Rockwall, when there's a lot of competition out here with other gyms.
Yeah,
there's a lot
it
of
was
gyms
rough,
here.
Man. That scared me bad because I put, we all put everything into open up this gym. I mean, TJ and Chip, we put our whole lives into it, and then 1 week, and we had a grand opening. Like everybody came in, we had the chamber, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Nope, you gotta close."
Well, when you reopen the doors, y'all didn't have. There was other gyms that reopened like a slow reopen, and they had to wear masks, and they had to set up times to come in and work out. Like you had to get on an app and make scheduled appointments. Who the hell has time for that? And then also working out in a mask. I don't recall y'all having the mask right from the get-go.
No, I don't know how much I can talk about.
We're beyond the statute of limitations. Don't worry. Governor Abbott doesn't give a shit.
So I can tell you the story if you want to.
Yeah, tell me.
All right, so here's the real insight. So we opened up. So they opened up theaters before gyms, right? And that lady, the hairdresser, I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
She opened up her hair salon.
And she was getting fined insanely amounts a day.
She was getting fined, and then she got arrested and put in jail. And then Governor Abbott came out and said, "Well, we're not going to arrest any business owners anymore." So we were like, "Yeah, we're going to go ahead and open." And we figured, we'd take the fine over. We'd take the fine over like the amount of money that we were putting out.
Right.
And honestly, that gave us a huge influx of people. Like everybody's like, heck yeah, the gym's open. And so people were coming in from Dallas and checking out our gym. So like I said, it was kind of a blessing. And they came over and told me that we needed to shut down. And we said, well, we don't think we're going to this time. And we did the first time because we really didn't know what the heck was going on.
Nobody knew.
But the second time we were like, no, we were kind of part of the Open Texas movement where we thought they were infringing on freedoms.
Sure.
And I think Governor Abbott finally got down that road. It took him a while, but I think he finally got down that road.
Yeah, everybody was finally realized this ain't really helping as much as we thought.
No, and gym transmissions, it's not where people were catching it. They were doing it more at their family gatherings and things like that. But gyms are, we have big ceilings, ventilation. Yeah. We even had people come in and spray the gym and all that crap. But yeah, we didn't do masks or, we figured people were free Americans and they were grown adults. And if they wanted to, we didn't make fun of people if they wore masks, but we'd see people walk in and they'd have the mask on and they'd look around for a second.
Yeah.
And then you'd see it like slowly come down to their chin and then they're like, yeah.
Then it's
freedom.
In their pocket.
Yeah.
Or in the garbage. So first responders deal with a lot of daily stressors. Working out is a big deal. And that's one of my go-tos for mental health and physical health. Why do you think it's so important for us? And why do you think we gravitate to that?
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm dealing with some law enforcement classes for martial arts.
Okay.
And, talking to those guys and seeing because we try to work real scenarios in the martial arts and try to use jiu-jitsu in a way that, especially with the world with the cameras and things like that.
Yep.
So we try to work on jiu-jitsu that's like practical, but I'll hear the stories about the stuff that they're doing, and they're staying up all night long. They're dealing with crazy people. Maybe they're psychotic or drug addicts or whatever. And I train some DPS people and personal training in the gym, and I listen to them, and sometimes I'm more like a counselor than I'm a personal trainer, and they'll even tell you that, and I train a guy who was a former Ranger, and I was telling the story about, he dealt with the Oklahoma City bombing. I mean, so they're constantly, they're working out, but it's also a place where they can kind of be free and relax, and it's almost like a counseling session for them.
Well, I think one of the things with working out is, and then also martial arts and jiu-jitsu, it's not just physical, that's a mental workout, especially when you're doing martial arts and you're having to think about the movements that you're doing and whatnot, and it's strenuous and you have to stick in there and you're mentally struggling through it. And the more that you practice mentally struggling through something, the more prepared you are to deal with stress in real life.
I agree. And it sort of makes you present. So where everybody's kind of in their head about the struggles that are going on, when I'm teaching a technique in jiu-jitsu, like they have to know, we do, especially with Master Machado. I mean, it's a very detailed technique. And so we want them to learn it perfectly. And so for that one moment, it's like a mountain climber where, the only thing that a mountain climber's thinking of is making sure that they hang on for that next climb, and so it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu. It's like you're so focused that you're able to let go of what's going on in your life, and you get in here and you just get to be yourself for just a little bit.
It's so important.
Oh yeah, we had on Brian Piccolo, and shout out Brian. Listening to his mindset in training, because he was a walk-on collegiate wrestler, and he's two-time All-American, and he also. He got into jiu-jitsu and
judo.
In judo, and he actually sets up. He and two other guys in Oklahoma City. They set up a free training for other officers to come and show up. Their turnout isn't what they want it to be, but he said, some people get humbled in there. You go in there and you get humbled, and they don't want to come back. But other officers and first responders, they'll go out to the pistol range and practice shooting. If they're not good doing it, if they're not qualified, they don't have the score they want, they'll go do that. But when they come in there and get humbled by some of their peers, it kind of turns them off and they inch away. And that's you want to get humbled there as opposed to your ass whipped out in the streets.
Yeah, and this is actually a conversation we've had recently. So when I deal with the law enforcement guys on the mats, I want to set them up for success, but at the same time, I want to make them understand that, a regular person on the street, they're going to be able to beat. But there's a lot of people now into martial arts, and so we start showing them, okay, here's what can happen, and we teach them how to escape. A lot of escapes or a lot of takedowns, and a lot of pressure, but we do it in a way that's kind of, so if it's on camera, it's not going to be something that gets them in trouble.
It doesn't look as aggressive.
It's more soft hand approach to it versus like beating the crap out of somebody. Like you can take them down. We don't do a lot of, we teach them neck restraints and all of that just so that, especially if it happens to them, they can get out. But most of the stuff, we'll actually take it all the way to handcuffs.
Okay. Wow.
So it's, it's takedown to the mat, putting pressure on them, controlling them, all while not beating the crap out of them, just controlling them, and then all the way to handcuff, which Master Machado is actually working on. So pretty cool stuff. We do, and I started out, honestly, with a couple of Fate police officers, and I was doing private lessons with one of them, and then the other guy was coming over on his own dime, helping me with the kids class. John Cassane, and he come over and help with the kids class, and we just started talking about the need for a law enforcement class. So we just started one, and now we've got people from DPS and the Fate and Dallas PD, and so it's kind of growing, and we're going to do another one on Saturday mornings. But that one, it's going to be law enforcement led. So two of our law enforcement guys yesterday with Master Machado and our first blue belts in the gym. This just shows you how much law enforcement and the first responders are important to our gym. They got their blue belts under Master Machado yesterday, and it's the first ones ever in my academy.
Wow.
And two law enforcement guys, Brian Debetsky and John Kassane. Yeah, so that meant a lot to me, and they're both Fate police. So
you realize you're providing more of a training platform than I can speak for Dallas PD that they're offered. So the platform that you're providing here is, fitness and this type of training. We don't have access to a gym like this, and we don't have access to that kind of training, that intimate type of training. And so a lot of people may be intimidated to walk in here, especially women, because they're like, oh, this is an old school gym. This is a powerlifting gym. I don't want to go in there. I'm intimidated. I don't want to lift heavy and get puffy. That's always but this gym isn't intimidating. It feels welcoming, and then it even has some humor to it. I mean, back in the back room, the party room, the hardcore room. Tell us about the paintings on the wall, because they made me smile.
Yeah.
They're almost hilarious, just.
Yeah, my brother, so this is a family built gym. My younger brother was a contractor, and so he helped, bring people in. And then my older brother, he did all the painting, and also he's an artist. So when we came up with the theme of the jungle, we sat and came up with different characters, and we actually built he made like an ape that's like a bodybuilder and like a monkey climb. So it kind of represents all the different body types in the gym. There's an elephant, and then there's like the lions and lionesses.
Panda.
Yeah, there's over in the one. Yeah, there's a panda. I think he's fighting an alligator. Yeah. So it's in like a a UFC arena in a cage. But then they did pictures of us as the wolf pack. I really don't like it.
I think it's, I'll be doing legs because you got the glute machines over there. And in between sets, I'm looking at it okay.
Yeah. If you can figure out which one I am, then, you win the prize.
I'm going to figure that out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do, next time we do legs, we're going to be staring at it.
When he did it, it's not exactly what I expected, but it was it looked like the human form of wolves.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
But it looks like you guys. Brandy was the easiest.
Yeah.
That was what clued me off. So
you see even the ones in the back, you see shadows of people in the back of other animals in the background with their fist up.
Yeah, he did really good. He's a really and then we put the graffiti too, right? So and it's if you look, it's actually our motto. It's Legends Fit. Is focus, inspire, transform. So he did like the graffiti around just to kind of give. And I saw that in a couple of gyms, and I thought, man, that kind of gives it that. In the morning at 6 a.m., everybody's in there, training, and we crank up the music. We don't really, if you don't like our gym, we don't want you to come. Go to Planet Fitness. You come into our gym, we're going to work out, and we're going to crank up the music and enjoy ourselves.
And I'd say, so Joe's been working out 20-something, 30, 40, 30-something years. I've been working out consistently probably for 3. I have a coworker who's not as comfortable working out. She comes to the classes in the morning, and she's totally comfortable at the classes. She's happy coming. I walk in, and I'm not totally comfortable with everything, but I'm fine looking at something and trying to figure it out. I don't feel like I look stupid or anybody's judging me. And then you've got meatheads like Joe and all the other bodybuilders here that know what they're doing. So it really is comfortable for everybody. You walk in and it's easy to walk in here every day. It's not a chore to walk in to come work out.
We have a couple of people in the morning that are powerlifters that are the nice. I don't know if you guys know Lance and Jake that come in the morning, but they so what's so cool is I'll be training a client that's going from the couch. And now they're trying to transform. And
Lance Watson?
Yeah,
Lance Watson. I know he and his wife, Lauren. Yeah, shout out.
We actually we call him the mayor of legends because there's not a person that he doesn't know. He'll walk around.
Well, I knew him back at the other gym that I'm not going to name the name of. I knew him from back there.
Yeah, so he, but what's really cool is I'll be working on deadlifts, and it'll be really lightweight. These guys are over there 600-pound deadlifts, 700-pound deadlifts, and my guy will be over there doing 225, and they'll be cheering him on. And then we're talking about serious power lifters or bodybuilders. And to me, that's exactly the culture. It's like a family culture. We don't really care what you lift. As long as you're pushing yourself and you're trying to transform yourself, that's what we're looking for. We want to be a supportive community for people who are, serious about their fitness journey. It doesn't matter if you're a swimmer or, you're a police officer just trying to survive on the streets, or, you're a bodybuilder who wants to become pro.
Yeah.
Like, we want people in here that are intentional about their journey and their transformation. Like, we don't want just we do not want like the person coming in and looking pretty, doing cardio, the kind of the douchebag people. We want, the cool.
Well, as long as people are coming in doing something, you don't. Everybody's got their own type of workout that works best for them. Most of my workouts are tailored to my many injuries over the years, and it's a cross-fitish type powerlifting style. I do a lot of stuff to failure, but there are certain things I cannot do because of my injuries. And Misty's put her body through the ringer too, playing basketball. She played basketball at OU.
Oh,
and
That's
she's
a long time ago. No, I don't need to owe that long.
But our bodies
Wow.
are beat to hell. Yeah. And I come in and really, there's so many different types of unique pieces of equipment in here that really hits on every part of the body.
Yeah.
You know?
If you think about the people that own it,
Yeah.
like, we are into lifting and I'm into martial arts. So when we were building out the gym, it's like, what do we want to lift with? Like, if we had an ideal gym, what would it look like and what pieces of equipment? And then TJ is like, he was a general manager for Destination Dallas for a while. So he's, and I don't know if you guys ever been there, but I mean, it's a very similar type gym, but he knew, he's an expert on equipment and things like that. So we really wanted to build something that's unique. You would have to drive to Dallas or Phoenix or somewhere like a big city with hardcore gyms to find something like it. And Rockwall, we've got Fate and Royce City and all the way to Mesquite,
Garland,
Plano, Garland, like
Rowlett.
And we have people coming from Dallas and or people who work at Dallas PD and they live in Rockwall. So it gives an environment that you would have to go into a big city to go find.
There's a lot of folks that live out in Forney, and actually people live in Dallas still that drive all the way out here just to work out here.
Which to me is like a testament to like what we ended up creating. But like it's exciting to me to hear somebody like, hey, I drove in from Fort Worth. I heard about your gym. I'm like, oh, wow. All right. Welcome.
Have to get a Prius with the gas prices these days.
Yeah.
Get a hitch a ride.
Yeah. These gas prices are crazy.
Why is MMA and jiu-jitsu, why do you believe that's so important for law enforcement? And is it too late for an older law enforcement, first responder to start?
Well, we have actually a couple of guys that come in that are, like John Cassane's 62.
Wow.
And he's, he's an SRO. And he's actually used some of the stuff, restraining people. But to me, like, and that was my passion, was like, you see, I saw a guy, and I'm not going to name any names or say even what agency, but I saw like a video of somebody doing a takedown, and they were in the middle of one of the cities, and they had a group of people around them, and they went and took the guy down and sort of took him down, but they didn't control him. And so he ended up getting back up, ended up having to tase the person. But if they would have known just a minor bit of jiu-jitsu, they could have taken him down, put him in handcuffs, and controlled the situation. So the way we teach it is not only do you take him down, but you're also keeping an eye out. Some of the combat tactics, like they'll teach them to hold them on their back. Well, if you're by yourself, and you're laying on your back, well, you could be in trouble. You don't know if somebody's going to come up and kick you in the head. You don't know if somebody's going to come shoot you. So everything we do, like, we try to take it to handcuffs, or we try to take it to where we flip them over, or we reverse them, or some way of like controlling the situation. And not only do we teach jiu-jitsu, but I also teach Muay Thai kickboxing. So if you're standing up and somebody's coming in, and let's say they want to go to hands, you should be able to defend yourself in hands. But I teach them so they don't break their hands.
Yeah.
You punch somebody in the face, you might break your wrist or your hands. So
you're out of the fight.
You're out.
Yeah.
So one hand police officer is not very effective. So we teach them in Muay Thai. We do a clinch. So you're grabbing around the head. You're pulling him down. You can, if it's really if it's escalated, you can use elbows or knees and take them down to the ground. So if I can get them to the ground, that's where I want them. I can put them down, put them in handcuffs. We're good. But if we're standing up and we're in a fight, I want our officers to be able to come in, learn leg kicks, soften them up a little bit, so that way they can restrain them and put them down on the ground by themselves. You know, and also if two officers are there, we hear all the time. And I even watched a video the other day. One officer's like kind of knowing what they're doing. The other one's standing back there like dumbfounded that there's a fight going on, and they're like messing with their legs, and you're like, man, if you would have just come in on the other side and held the person's arm, you could have restrained them. So
right. Well, you look at it from a technical standpoint from your background, and you train this, know, so you're looking at it going, come on.
Yeah.
Well, it's tools. So the more tools you have, the more options you have in a situation. So it's great that we have pepper spray. It's great that we have taser. It's great that we have 40 mil. But when you're by yourself, or it's two of you, or it's three of you, the more options you have, the longer you're staying in that fight, and the better your outcome is going to be. And what people don't realize is that's the better outcome for the suspect as well. Because if we can control you doing jiu-jitsu or hand-to-hand or even our lesser force, then we're not going to have to go to higher force. But you're staying in a fight for 5 minutes, you're exhausted at some point, and at some point you're going to be forced to raise your level of force because you just can't stay in any longer. So being in shape, being stronger, having better cardio, having jiu-jitsu, all of those options increase the outcome or the likelihood of a good outcome in a force situation.
What's exciting to me about this, and so you have the gym to be able to lift and get strong. You have the cardio to be able to get, and then you come in and you're able to actually apply it to your job. And we close the doors. Like, we don't let other people other than law enforcement in that class, unless they want, if the police officers want to invite somebody in to actually act like a suspect, which is good, right? You get a bigger guy come in and, try to see if they can beat the techniques. But what I think is unique about ours, and what Carlos Machado actually teaches, is that we ask the officers to try out the technique to see if it's practical for them. And we'll debate it. We'll sit in there. There'll be 2 or 3 officers in there talking about, well, I don't, my knees hitting the ground, or like if I have to take them down and, like if they face plant, like what is that going to look like? Those sort of conversations actually occur on the mat. And so we'll use, my technical jiu-jitsu or Master Machado's law enforcement stuff that he's been teaching, and we'll apply it with the officers, and we'll troubleshoot it. Like, it's not just like, I'm going to teach you a technique, and if it doesn't work, and we'll try to blow it up. So we want it to not work. So that way we can say, okay, what happens in the case that, okay, I've been working this technique, I go down there and now it doesn't work. How's your response? So we get them in shape so they don't, it's like the 100-second rule. Have you ever heard that? Like, you're controlling a suspect for at least 100 seconds. That makes them get tired or whatever. Ours is, under Master Machado, we're taking them to handcuffs as fast as we can. We're ending the situation. But here, we actually get the officer to troubleshoot it with us.
Even firemen should have the opportunity, because what people don't realize is these firemen are on the scene a lot of times before PD, and you have a lot of mental health issues. They have to control a subject, and they don't get the training they need to do that, and they're put in a position where they have to control people before PD gets there. So I think they would benefit too from a lot of this. Yeah,
that makes sense. We actually were talking yesterday that teachers to the SROs they teach something right now called CID, or but it's a way to restrain kids or whatever if they're acting out. And apparently they teach, and I saw some of the moves, and it's like, It's really antiquated, old school. Like I was telling you, Fusei Kisei, my karate days way back. I mean, it's like old school, hold the arm and try to hold them. And the teachers are getting hurt.
Sure.
They're getting head-butted and kicked and things like that. And so the officers, you know, you have officers in the school, but if they're not around, the teachers have to restrain them. So
there's some big-ass kids, too.
Well, and teachers have to break up a lot of fights.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so they would benefit from some of those skills.
There's a 180-pound 10-year-old that I was hearing about yesterday that was like going crazy, you know. So like, you know, those poor teachers, man, putting up with that stuff. But yeah, I agree. The the firefighters, and if there's some interest in that, we would obviously let people whose job, but we kind of keep it. We wanted not the general public to come in and watch the techniques because, you know, we want a place where people are comfortable to talk about the situations on the street that happened the night before, you know, and not to worry about like it leaking out or whatever.
Yeah, or a version leaking out of actually.
A version of it, yeah.
Your MMA room is totally closed off. You used to have it out into the main it was next to the jungle room.
Yeah,
and by the Kung Fu Panda that was over there in the octagon, but. You know, I'm glad you mentioned the troubleshooting part because a huge part of what we do in law enforcement is optics, right? And somebody a little small snippet of a camera phone video can make us look really bad and taken out of context of what the whole fight, what actually went on the whole fight. You know,
and if you look at most of the incidents that have occurred, and they're calling it, you know, they're saying it was the police officer's fault, but most of them, they were actually either trained to do it. And if done right, it's not going to actually cause somebody to die. But that being said, the way things are today, we teach techniques where, you know, we train them to where, okay, we're going to go knee on belly, not knee on neck. Or maybe you're going knee on the shoulder blade, not on the neck. I mean, there's different ways to do things where you're still getting the same effect. You're just like, if your body camera catches it, you're seeing that. Oh, and actually, like the theory is if it went to trial or something, somebody would go, man, I can't believe the constraint that officer used to take that person using soft hands to control them. I would, you know, and the jury saying, oh, I would have beat the crap out of that guy by now, you know, and that's what we want. We want to give that effect where the officer is doing everything they can to control the situation, but they're also doing it in a way that doesn't really hurt the suspect, and honestly keeping the officer safe as well in the process.
Well, keeping the suspect safe too, though. I mean, because yes, there's some officers that we have a lot of restraint. We have to have a lot of restraint, and there's some suspects that could seriously get hurt, but we have our restraint, you know, and sometimes even they still get hurt. The officers get hurt. We have so many officers get injuries, you know, serious injuries. We just had an officer tear his Achilles tendon fighting a guy. You know, and you're down for a year at least.
Well, and that's money. And so the things that you've put in place are injury prevention as well. Being in better shape, flexibility in some of these classes, nutrition. Those are things to keep from getting injured.
Man, the stuff you guys wear,
right?
Oh my word! So they let me put on one of the belts, you know, and it's like 50 pounds worth of crap on your waist,
and it's uneven.
It's just like terrible. And you know, we're trying to actually do that with the jiu-jitsu as well. So you're trying to be agile and move around with this giant like bunch of stuff, and at the same time, you know, weapon retention. There's always a gun in the fight, right? Always. As long as you're there's always a weapon in the fight, and so learning how to protect, you know, that weapon the whole time. So we have to teach techniques a little differently for law enforcement because we have to always keep in mind that we have weapons in the middle of the fight as well.
I was going to ask you, because it's one thing rolling in a gi. It's
Absolutely.
Another thing rolling with a giant gun and then a giant taser and then a vest on. And some of it, if you got your angel armor plates in, those are pretty stiff too. Yeah. So some of these rolling moves are going to be hard in that equipment.
It's absolutely. So there's like the hip movement that you would normally do in the gi, like you're trying to shift or move. Well, here you have to lift your butt up to get so the belt will actually move. I can't imagine going all day long wearing that and sitting in your car. Like how you guys, I mean, y'all need our gym because the back issues and stuff that you guys are dealing with. I mean, you guys have to be completely beat up at the end of the day, you know?
It's one big plate of Mexican food away from just pinching your gut.
You gotta loosen it a
Go
little
get a
bit.
good meal, and you're gonna get some pinching in that belt.
Well, and think about it too that we could drive around for a couple hours sitting sedentary, and then jump out on a just balls of the wall fight, and for several minutes on concrete, wearing all that crap, with a suspect that's high on something, and they're not easy to control.
And you look at I heard SWAT actually will wear like the knee pads, or they have some knee pads, which is good. But you get local law enforcement in here, and they're not. They're wearing, or jeans. Some of these guys wear jeans.
I wish we could wear.
Patrol does not have knee pads. Just FYI.
So I mean that for us when we're teaching martial arts, like that's the stuff that we have to keep in mind. Is like we don't want the officer getting injured in the middle of the fight. So what are the ways that we can do that to actually keep them safe as well? But man, I don't know how you guys do it. Like it's pretty insane with the amount of equipment you have to carry around.
And these suspects have unlimited energy sometimes.
Yeah.
They are not tiring out at all.
And athletic ability.
Yes.
Yeah, and they got us on an age. Yeah, and they're not wearing all that crap, and then they actually have a will to get away. They don't want to go to jail.
And how'd you put on all that muscle with this meth addiction you have?
Yeah, right. It's all lean.
But you're talking about sitting in a car for 8 to 10 hours and the pressure it puts on your hip flexors from wearing the belt. And you have an area where you could push a sled or pull a sled, and those things are great for knees and hips and hip flexors. And actually you have a pretty big space. I want to say 30 to 40 yards of turf that you can to work the sled area.
Yep. Yeah, we do the battle ropes over there, kettlebells, a lot of people doing core exercises and pushing the sled, pulling the sled. We even have like a wall that's like for wall ball, bouncing the wall up against. I mean, we tried to think of stuff like if you wanted to come in and just work functional exercises, we wanted an area for that. So we even have like people who are football players who will come in and do agility drills out on the AstroTurf. We thought that area was like pretty important when we had the vision of this place.
Oh yeah, no, that's great because you got people pushing the sled, you got people doing the ropes, the gymnastics. Yeah, there's everything going on over there.
Yeah,
but that's a space where those things translate to some of our jobs, fire and PD.
Yeah.
If you go look over there, we even have the little rope machine where you're climbing.
That's the one I had to look up. How do you use this thing?
Yeah, that one's pretty interesting. But I mean, you think about people who are constantly like either saving somebody out of a building or like climbing upstairs or so there's equipment in here. If they want to get in shape, they really don't have an excuse. This is a good spot to do it.
You mentioned competitions and a grip strength competition. Well, this job and fire is a lot of grip strength, and there's all kinds of I don't know what equipment that you can work on your grip strength that aren't in other gyms.
That's right. I mean, even just the back exercise equipment that we have in there for like the actual seated row type, it's different. You have to almost see it. It's really hard to explain it, but by the time you're done, your forearms and your hands in this gym, if you do a real back day in here, I've actually done a workout with TJ where my hands were clasping up where I'm like, I can't even hold the dumbbell anymore. Yeah. So yeah, we definitely have the grip strength stuff here.
My forearms give out before my back does.
Yeah. But that translates to your grip strength on your pistol and that's going to affect your shooting and improve it. So all of those things translate. And just other gyms don't offer those type of things. We're
really wanting to build this, and so this is like the call out to you guys. The more that you know, like, and I ask the officers all the time, like, tell us some stuff that we can do, even if maybe we do it after hours here at the gym, so that we can create more of an environment for y'all to train. And I was talking to a few of the DPS guys about stuff like that, and so I'm not done. This is like just the entry into that.
It's involving, yeah.
Yeah, it's really starting to build.
Well, as far as the MMA, do you believe ego is something that prevents some law enforcement from coming in and training on that? And how do they overcome that?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Master Machado's when I first started jiu-jitsu back in the early 2000s, we used to have a sign above the door that says "Leave your ego at the door," and you'll leave your ego at the door whether you like it or not. Like that's a motto, but as soon as you get in there, people are going to own you, especially if you've never really done. Even if you've gone to the academy and they showed you a few jiu-jitsu moves. You come in with people who are training on a regular basis. You think about it, you're training 3-4 times a week on how to fight, and then you come in and you may have eaten too much and you're out of shape. And I saw during this recent training event that Master Machado had for law enforcement, I saw a couple of local PD people come in and they had no training, absolutely whatever they did but like zero martial arts training, and they had the guts and the whole 9 yards. But they, we try to do it in a way where they feel inclusive, that we can start out a little slow. About 2 weeks into it, people start feeling a little. I mean, you still get owned. You just get used to getting owned. But we try to teach them techniques in a way that really after the first couple of classes, they can walk out and at least most people they're going to be able to control. So we do try to keep that in mind when they come in. But yeah, the ego is can be a huge problem in martial arts.
Well, it's better to get humbled in there than get whipped on Fox 4 News, and then you having to resort to something out of desperation that gets you fired or in prison.
Yeah, I mean, you think about some of these incidents, like the Wolf City incident where the police officer ended up shooting the suspect at the gas station. He was supposedly one of the nicest guys in town, but he bowed up. And because somebody's scared, or I don't know the whole case, but like somebody's scared, instead of having a little training so that you don't have to necessarily get fear, okay, if this guy approaches me, I'm going to do this simple takedown. Hold them down, cuff them and all that. But, we try to actually train these guys so that when they're confident, like you get beat a little bit, you start building your confidence up. Then you start getting a little more technique, and then you're like, oh, if I can reverse a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, then a normal, suspect on the street, then I'm going to be able to take him down.
Well, it's okay you want to learn from that defeat, and Misty was Golden Gloves boxer, okay, and she trained.
That was a long time ago.
You keep saying that.
Yeah,
I'm a little scared.
She trained to get some in, and she went into like how hard that was. But a lot of people would like pack it up and leave. All right, I'm out, and leave. But that motivated her. But she's a rare animal.
You go home at night and you can't chew your food. But I want women officers and fire to listen to this and be able to make that initial step to come in and say, teach me, make me better. Because that's the hardest part, is that first step to get in here. And so how does anyone sign up for some of these classes? How does it work?
So we have a very good discount for law enforcement. And we also, it's part of your gym membership too. So that part of it should be pretty easy, because you're not going to find a martial arts studio for what you guys are paying.
Yeah.
I'm even working on the Adopt a Cop program for BJJ, where you give a scholarship and that kind of stuff.
Hey, explain that just a little bit more. That way the listeners will understand.
Yeah,
that,
I'm just now getting into it with them and signing the paperwork and all that. But it's supposed to be really deep discount for an officer, and you actually give them a scholarship all the way until they're blue belt. So
That's
so you
really
pick
cool.
you pick a certain officer to come in, and then you sponsor them all the way up until they're blue belt. So that it's called Adopt a Cop, BJJ, and that's the kind of stuff that. So just to your answer as far as getting them in the door, one of the things that you can do that I've done with other officers is I did one-on-ones with them, and that honestly I build their basic skill set. And so, we do that for a little bit until they get confident enough to walk in. Or you could get like you and your partner, or maybe a couple of people, if you wanted to come in and do like a small group setting. We can do stuff like that. And I give a way better discount on like those kind of private lessons with people than, for the normal people out on the street.
Do they sign up online, or do they call, or they walk in?
You can just walk in. Yeah,
Okay.
the front desk can sign them up. But, you know, make sure that you tell them that if you're a first responder or you're law enforcement or whatever, let them know that, because there's giant discounts for you guys.
Yeah. One thing I like what you do is why do you believe BJJ is important for kids? You train a lot of kids. I'm actually going to get my sweet Carmen in here.
Yeah, I love the kids. Like the program that we have is for anti-bullying, and not only do you teach them, you know, not to be bullied, and give them the confidence to stand up for themselves and for other people, but you also teach them not to bully other people. So when they're in here, I'll sit down with them and we'll first of all, just so you guys know, we do the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge of Allegiance.
I've seen it
every time we come in.
Nice.
We start off with that, and I actually teach them to march. I'll have them, you know, do like military march up in front of the flags and all that. But we're teaching them self-discipline and respect for the teacher, but also like we want them to be that influence in the school where it's like it's not okay to bully another kid. And I mean, and really that whole program. So a lot of these gyms, nothing wrong with them, but they're like real competitive. Go put them in BJJ and let them go get trophies and all that. That's great unless you're out on the street. And so our gym is a real practical gym. We want the little kids, if somebody attacks them on the playground, they're not just going to sit down and try to like do competition with them. Like they are actually able to defend themselves and protect themselves, where a lot of these gyms is just about competition. We're actually about real practical use if somebody attacks them.
And I think for all kids, but also especially little girls, it's really important to have that confidence and that body autonomy. And so like know that you can protect yourself and this is your space and you can, you're the only one that gets to defend it. Or you're the only one that gets it.
Is it you that was telling the story of the person that was into basketball and they ended up going back into wrestling? So
that was me.
That was
Piccolo's.
Yeah, it was Brian.
Yeah. I mean, that's if you want to talk about that's a great example. It's like that confidence that you get from being on the mat or from jiu-jitsu, it carries into the real world. Like even when they get older and they go into job interviews, there's something to know that you can carry yourself or defend yourself, that you walk in and people don't intimidate you. I mean,
what Piccolo talked about, it builds, you know, humility and patience. I mean, this is a guy that he went through sniper school, which went against everything that he had trained up to that point, right? Because of he's an aggressive wrestler, right? And that was his in-your-face style of wrestling.
Hand fighting,
yes.
like he was very.
And then to be a sniper,
physical.
Misty knows it. You have to be super patient.
It's more of a finesse.
Yeah.
Well, and so is the motor school.
Yes.
It's very finesse, and he passed that too. And his daughter was talking about she had lost her edge playing soccer, and she put herself back into wrestling to regain her edge, which is, I think that's what you're talking about.
That's exactly it, yeah. So I think, martial arts gives little kids the ability to have confidence in themselves. They also can be there when their little friends or even their siblings are getting picked on. And they can have the confidence. And we teach them actually to walk away from situations when it's unnecessary to fight. But if they get pushed into a corner and somebody's trying to hurt them, how do they get out of it? And we're always one step less than what the person that's the martial arts way. It's like if somebody's coming to hurt you, you walk away. If somebody's coming to maim you, you hurt them. If somebody's trying to kill you, you maim them. Like, so that's the kind of the simple rules in martial arts. We teach them, you have the skill set to actually control the situation. So you come in and you're doing it in a way that you're not trying to hurt. You're just making them know that, you know what you're doing. And that can actually end a lot of conflicts in school.
Yeah, I believe that also just it instills structure for the little kids too, and they grow up with it. And bullying right now is so prevalent, in schools and with kids, especially girls.
Wait until you see. You guys have to look at the picture of Master Machado with the we call her June Bug, but she's a little bitty girl who is absolutely like so disciplined, so solid in martial arts, and seeing this little girl like take on the boys. It's really inspiring. And, you know, knowing that later in life, like she's going to be able to carry that with her. I mean, heck, she might end up in law enforcement or something. I mean, she's pretty tough. So wait until you see that picture. I just love it.
Yeah. I'm gonna be posting that pic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post several other pics from the gym today. This is going to air later on, but I'm gonna be posting some coming soon. And that picture of that little girl with Master Machado, it's incredible.
It really is. It's gold.
You grew up in a small town, right?
Yes,
I did.
did.
Are there 3 of you, 3 boys?
As far as my family,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's I have 2 brothers and a sister.
Okay.
Yeah, so little family out in Cumbie, Texas, with a graduating class of 9 people.
Wow.
So coming from that, the small town, Air Force, what is your why? Because you're doing a lot here.
Well, I was in a defense contractor for like 22 years, and I was a chief information officer for L3 for 14 of that. But yeah, my why is I'm inspired every day to wake up and to do something better for myself. And you see so many people right now in the world that like they're down, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anger going on. I want a place where people can feel at home, where they have family. Even if you don't have family, you know, they can all come in here. They get inspired. They have a reason to wake up. They have people that have their back, especially you guys. Like, you have a place where you have, I don't know how many agencies in here at once. I mean, you could have FBI and SWAT and Dallas PD and, you know, Rockwall all working out in the same, or in like even the county judge working out all at the same time. But I wanted to like create an environment where people felt at home and they also could transform their lives and maybe live a little longer.
That's amazing.
It is. Aaron, I think it's a perfect way to wrap it up.
Yes, sir.
I met you through our buddy, Alan Mason. Shout out Alan. He's going to be punching the steering wheel that I gave him a shout out. But I'm so glad that he introduced us and introduced me to this gym. I've gotten so much out of this. I love it. And I've told so many people, first responders, fire and police, about this gym to get their ass over here and get into this. And having people like you and TJ and Chip and all your incredible trainers, we're in good hands to stay healthier and safer.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey brother, hey sister, I'll never give up on you. Hey Mrs., hey mister, I'll see this all the way through. No matter how far the sun and the moon, I'll never give up on you. Down when you're lonely, I'll pull you up. Life leaves you heavy when the going gets tough. I'll be your shoulder, together we'll run. Up from the bottom, yeah, we'll rise above. Hey brother, hey sister, I'll never give up on you. Hey Mrs., hey mister, I'll see this all the way through. No matter how far the sun and the moon, I'll never give up on you. I'll never give up on you. Hey brother, hey sister, I'll never give up on you. Hey Mrs., hey mister, I'll see this all the way through. No matter how far for the gold and the blue. I will never give up on you.